Archangel JOPHIEL. March 11, 2019. Important reminder for this month of March 2019. Thus, Christ comes to call you, and this call you will hear him, but he will also ask you to pass through the narrow gate, that is, to strip you of all that belongs to desire, all that belongs to personality, and all that belongs to knowledge. It is this death to oneself that is called the resurrection. Thus, living the heart and going out into the heart, that is, entering the spheres of unity, of truth, can only be done if you renounce all forms of possession. I am talking about, of course, beyond what has been understood by many, to give up owning a vehicle, a car, or anything else. The possession to be renounced is the appropriation linked to any power and any manifestation of the appropriation of light, the appropriation of knowledge, the appropriation of anything belonging to duality. It had been said by Christ, and it was misunderstood, that it would be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Who is this rich man? This rich man is not the one who possesses the money, but he is the one who is possessed by his knowledge, because the heart does not possess itself, it is not conquered, it is established and lived, precisely, by the absence of any claim. This will become increasingly clear to you. This is the role of the unfolding of the Metatronite light, leading you to distance yourself, precisely, and to clearly see the last zones of the fire of the ego, the last zones of fire of friction, existing in the illusion of possessions, in the Arachangelian and Luciferic illusion. Thus, to live Christ is to abandon all claims to knowledge, it is to become, indeed, like a child. It is in this sense that John wrote under Christ's dictation, "There will be many called, few chosen." This is to be inscribed, however, in a process of total liberation of this humanity, but by definition the chosen one is the one who freely joins the body of being, while the called one is the one who has understood the call of the light but who, somewhere, has diverted the light to the benefit of the ego, that is, of Ahriman and Lucifer, and thus of knowledge. Many today have appropriated the light rather than abandoning themselves to the light. How does abandonment to the light translate? By the fire of the heart, but, above all, by kindness, gentleness, love, humility and simplicity. Everything that is not given is lost. What is not given concerns, of course, the self that does not give itself entirely to the self, that is, any persistence of the self, any persistence of the self, any persistence of an identification will represent, in the deployment of the Vigral light in a few days' time in its entirety, the major inner obstacle to establishment within the Christ dimension Telos. In the name of the Archangelic Conclave, I deposit, in you, this injunction of liberty, calling you to free yourself, in totality, from all forms of knowledge that take you away from your heart, even if what is called the ego, the fragmented consciousness, will believe that it is in the heart itself when it is not. To live the fire of the heart and the unfolding of the Metatronite light is the ultimate grace, the ultimate gate, open to all humanity, to live this abandonment to the light. The light itself being an abandonment and therefore a gift to self and in no way an appropriation of anything belonging to this world. Christ said it, "Let the dead bury the dead." You cannot be alive and dead. The resurrection is life. The illusion of the matrix is death. You will each find yourself confronted, both of you, with your last resistances, those of the ego that does not want to let itself die, in its entirety, and that, in its own way, will play the last games of illusion, manifesting itself, of course, through anger, fear and attachment. Everything that has not yet been seen will be seen, allowing you to see yourself with clarity. It is therefore essential to turn your gaze, that of consciousness, towards the vision of the heart and no longer towards a vision of this external world that disappears, allowing you, by attention and intention, to no longer be identified by what disappears but, in its entirety, to what is born, not in a future projection, because what I am talking about is now. This now expressing itself within your density in terms of days. Within this particular event, of course, every human being will experience this in their own way or not. From they'll flow, in a totally vibratory way, what you will create as a reality. Indeed, you will become co-creators of your own reality, and, for that, the consciousness must be clarified, that is, it must come out of any projection, any desire, any assimilation to a role, a game, a function, whatever it may be. The self has no role or function in this world. JOPHIEL Archangel. Jean-Luc Ayoun.